Hey, it's me, LH Music. Welcome to my political life video blog, and thank God it's Wednesday. It's time to defending the speech, because we us conservatives could get rid of this stupid hate speech of theirs. Because you know why? Because they're full of crap. They get in the way. Because we as conservatives can trash those no government liberals can be civilized. So I hope you're ready. I can too. Let's do this and let's get started. Noisemakers, please.
The latest.
Okay. Okay, so here it is. Now here's a recap from, you guessed it. That's right. The Ingram angle, and here's why it happens.
Last night we told you about the shocking facts about the tech giants' war on free speech. And tonight we look at how to fight back. And the first thing to do is to recognize what you're up against.
Now you see, so previously last Wednesday, because you know darn well about tech people get inside this censored free speech. You know why we as conservatives can do something about this? So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, here's your worst nightmare about this one from Laura Ingram.
The tactic the left uses to restrict the free flow of information is by ginning up a propaganda war on so-called fake news. Well, let's bring in reporter Cheryl Atkinson, host of the great Sunday show Full Measure, and the author of the book, The Smear, How Shady Political Operatives Control What You See, What You Think, and How You Vote. And I'm so happy she's with us. I know, you were the only person...
Yeah, that's right. You know what I'm saying? So, here's what you can do about censoring us conservatives. Because the liberals has no right to do this. So, Cheryl Atkinson, she's the host of the Sunday night show, Full Measure on Sinclair Networks, and she has a new book coming out. It's called The Smear. So, here's your worst nightmare ever, and here's how it happens about this one to weigh on this, and you know what I'm saying. Here's Laura Ingram.
First series we're doing, I think, is really important because a lot of people out there, they feel like they don't know how to fight back against this. They feel like they're under assault. All these fact checkers that are out there seem to only check facts in a negative way about Republicans. PolitiFact, I know you know them. They say the GOP lies 32% of the time is false. Only Democrats only lie 8% of the time. Are you finding that the fact checkers need a fact checker these days?
Yeah, I devoted a chapter to looking at this whole idea to shape and control our narratives in many different creative ways, to create what I call an artificial reality online and on the news so that people think things are true that may not be true, or that they're an outlier if they have certain feelings when they may not be. This may be media literacy efforts. It may be called fact-checking. It may be called anti-fake news.
What do you mean media literacy efforts?
Well, I've noticed that some of the people who started out with these fake news efforts, which were really an effort to control information more so than just get rid of fake news, they've now moved on, some of them, to, you know, we're going to start teaching in public schools and requiring this as part of the law to tell you who to believe. And it usually involves them saying, if you read it in the New York Times or the Washington Post, you can believe that. But if you've seen it somewhere else, you need to be wary, ignoring the fact that some of these formerly well-respected news publications have made some of the most egregious errors in the last couple of years. It's not that simple.
Now you see, Cheryl Atkinson is right. Because, you know, the liberal media bias special people buffoon Smurfs are up against social media. Because everything else can be civilized about this whole civilizing thing, because it's ridiculous. So that means we as conservatives cannot be silenced. No. But the only thing that happens is that Cheryl Atkinson is right along. She fit the narrative, all that about the news media and all that. And now you know I can't be civilized about this one. It has misdemeanors and all that stuff, so who knows? But there's more there's more of this one that you don't want to know about this. Listen to this.
Doing this segment about whether 16-year-olds should vote. And I think Democrats want 16-year-olds to vote because they're fresh pickings. They're in the midst of the, some would say the propaganda machine, especially in public schools, a lot of private schools. And so they're right in it. They're right in the thick of it, and it all skews Democrat. Let's talk about other fact checkers. There's now a fact checker at Univision. And the statistics at Univision are really bad
Except
for
Jorge
Republicans.
Ramos doesn't even understand English.
I guess 95% of fact checks in January 2017 to April of this year, 95% went against Republicans, 0% Democrats, 2% Republicans and Democrats, 3% nonpartisan. That's the Media Research Center. Univision, obviously not a big fan of the president either.
Well, that's why I try to say that when you see these efforts of third parties to curate your information or tell you what to believe or try to curate who's right, that's something to be suspicious of in of itself. It doesn't mean you can't ever get valuable information from them, but that's usually an effort under a different name by an entity that wants to shape the narratives and shape your opinion.
Well, Amy Klobuchar, the senator from Minnesota, was on television this week and talking about how we need, regulations on Facebook. And I know some conservatives are very frustrated with Facebook, but couldn't that backfire on conservatives and just independent thinkers for the government to say, we're going to regulate? How could that backfire?
Well, anytime the government or a third party gets into the mix, but perhaps especially the government, maybe you agree with them today, but will you agree with them tomorrow? That's why there was a whole philosophy, I guess, when the country was founded, to keep the government out of certain things. Do we really want to invite them and whatever their goals of the day may be to be the ones to decide what we can see and what we should believe and what we can't see?
The tone of the coverage.
Now you see it happens because this is why we as conservatives can combat these whole efforts about technology companies, except social media as far as we're concerned. Because the hate speech try to trash us conservatives, there is no way to do this. So that's why we as conservatives can silence those no good for nothing idiotic liberals. It has, you know why? Because you liberals need a spanking, as far as we're concerned. Do we all know that? By heart, yes. Because we as conservatives cannot be silenced at all. Period. So, here's the example about this one, because Davidson College won't let the professor speak on campus. And now everybody knows that Bert Folsom of Hillsdale College is not academic enough to speak, because Spencer Brown, that I just talked to Spencer Brown last Monday night on Primetime News on the Hallmark Channel, and because you tell you one thing is Spencer Brown just weigh on this college professor at Hillsdale College. Well, I guess you know very well, because it has something to do with these ideas. So, because liberalism on this one will make a lot of sense about this one. So here's me interviewing Spencer Davis on my show, Primetime News on the Hallmark Channel, and see what he has to say about this one.
Right, and I don't think it's any secret to you or your viewers that there's a real crisis in ideological diversity on college campuses. But what surprises us continually is the excuses that liberal administrators use in order to shut these speakers down. So here we have Davidson College telling us that Bert Folsom, who's at one point had the #1 best-selling history book in the country, is not academic enough to speak on the main part of their campus. It's just ridiculous.
Well, it's a fraud. And there's another hilarious story, campus reform.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Spencer is right. If you know someone about campus, Davidson College won't let the professor speak, well, guess what? Listen to this. I want you to take a look and watch this from campusreform.org. And reform.org, and because it could be academic enough about this one, well, who knows? I want you to take a look and watch this right before your very eyes and ears. So, I want you to listen to this from campusreform.org. I know I did Campus Craziness Friday on my radio show on the Blaze Radio Network every Friday. I want you to listen to this from campusreform.org and see what you think. See what you think about this, all this academic crap of theirs. Listen to this.
When President Obama did it, I felt that there was, I suppose, different coverage as to what the intentions were.
Where do you draw the line?
Yeah.
On who can be here or not, basically.
Yeah.
At a border, I think most people would say.
How do you draw the... You liberal kids, buffoons, liberal kids. You sound like mush. Because you don't even let Bert Folsom speak. That is... no. That is no way to do this. Bert Folsom has the right to speak in front of your college campuses. And you know why? Because you try to say, that's hogwash. You could not even say anything about it. Oh, let me put this in right for you. We as conservatives can do something about your own damaging heads. That's right, you liberal college campuses buffoons. Because everything else can be civilized. Because you said you don't have enough to speak. Well, guess what? You making a poor excuses about this one. Spencer Brown, I bet he's a spokesman for Young Americans for Freedom, is right. There is enough to speak. And don't tell me it says it's not. No, don't give me that crap. Because we as conservatives can do whatever we pleased. And we're not going to be silenced at all. And you know why? Because the moral of my political life video blog story, a story about, you guessed it, defending the speech is Cheryl Atkinson is right and Spencer Brown is right. And you liberals have no clue what you're up to. Maybe you just don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that is not nice to form out of nature. Stop it. Enough is enough. So, who knows? Guess what? It happens. Anyways, come back again next Wednesday, and we're going to defend the speech as we trash all of you liberals down to size. Get it? Good. And that's my political life video blog story. And I'm sticking to it. Completely. Hit the road, liberals. You don't even know what the hell you're talking about.